Fit. 2 shows in 1 day. We're about to get it.
Yes, sir.
So we got this live right now. In 30 minutes, you guys, we will jump over to a private session, which is kind of cool. Actually, let me go ahead and drop that in the chat for everybody so that they have that. If I can figure out how to highlight it. Oh, that's highlighting too much. Let me get it for us real quick. Copy and paste, and then everybody can have it in our comments. It should be in there. Okay. All right. So for everybody, you guys have that link. You just go there, you sign up, you'll be able to meet with us privately. You could ask your questions privately that you have. We have a topic already prepared. But yeah, we're so set. So this whole month, Fit, we've been talking about breaking cycles. So if anybody was to rewind the tapes, that's an old school term. No, we don't even have tapes nowadays. But if anybody rewinds the tapes, they will see that we just spent a whole month breaking down like what's going on with cycles and how to break them. Why do we do that? Like what makes us repeat struggles? I think we've pretty much covered that topic, except today we want to just kind of get in a little bit to um like how they form, how those patterns form, and then creating some awareness and bringing some tools to them. What's been going on for you this week, Fit?
This week it's more of the same. I'm out to accomplish. I'm out to have fun when I'm doing it. Earlier today, I
Hmm.
was doing a boxing session, a training one-on-one with a boxing trainer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah, how that?
lifelong martial artist,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, I still do martial arts today, but I hadn't done boxing in a while. So I did
Mm,
a session today. Tore me up, but
yeah.
I had fun. So
So whenever you
I
do a
got
session, what does that look like? If I'm standing there, are you in the ring with somebody with gear on, or what's actually happening?
Well, it's different based on the trainer, but today we
Oh,
did some sleds, we did some ropes, we did some hard circuits first to get
oh,
me exhausted
okay,
first, and then we did mitts. That
okay.
way, the trainer could see where I was lacking, where my weak points were at, because
Oh,
when you're more exhausted, that's when you're going to drop your form a little bit,
makes sense.
right? And so he could see the vulnerabilities, the movements, right? And so it was good.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know what? That's actually how I feel like behaviors work too in general. When we start going through hard things, our deepest held habits are start showing up in that way, and that's the time at work. And I think that if there you could point to anything, any good reason for going out and getting coaching or counseling, it would be that is because sometimes the hardest moments bring up some of those stuck habits that
Yep.
happen. And so it's interesting that they do the same kind of process in training any kind of sport like boxing, right? Where you don't just get out to start swinging and doing the punching. And I think everybody should take note of that because there's such a process for us getting better at things, and the process is not always directly in that interaction or that sport. So I
Mhm.
think, yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up and kind of demonstrate a little bit about how it actually works for us to get better at things. And yeah, there's going to be some soreness that sets in first, right? There's going to be some recognition that was difficult or you pushed your limits, but the long term of that, I think a lot of times for all of us is that we get better and we get stronger and we can do what we couldn't do the day before we started doing what we're doing now, right? So super excited that you're able to share that with us. um, Man, today we want to talk a little bit more about breaking the cycles, and we do have probably a little bit less, not probably, we for sure have less time than what we want to, but we'll stick with a little bit of our normal agenda and get
Yeah.
everybody through what we have to. And so I think the thing that we'll lean into in this first half hour, and then we can get more into it in our second part of the half hour, is why patterns form. So, just kind of from your perspective and a little bit of your thoughts on what you see, like how do patterns actually get to the way that they are, to where people are um, they're not able just to break whatever kind of cycle. You know what we might want to go into before we go into that, Fit? Me and you were having a text conversation about patterns and cycles. Do you remember that conversation? It was a few weeks back now.
Yeah. the
What
difference
thoughts
between,
on that?
yeah, difference between cycles and patterns.
Do you remember your thoughts on that? I have some thoughts off the top of my head, but
I think it's, yeah, because for me, how I see it is the patterns are the things that you keep doing,
hmm
right? You keep doing. But
hmm
the cycles are the things that keep happening in your
hmm
life,
interesting.
or not even just in your life, but even in your family's lives or relationships or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. So, and you saying it that way makes me think that like um, cycles are patterns, but patterns might not always be cycles, right? And so like sometimes, and maybe it's the flip of that. I probably would have to think about it more, but the idea would be like they're not always interchangeable, right? Because um, a cycle says that it maybe came from your family of origin or from your past experiences, right? And now you keep responding the same way, right? And so I think that makes it maybe a bigger deal sometimes. Is like it's not just something that you're doing on your own necessarily. It's also something that's repeating in your family's life, right? And so at I think at a small, there's probably a lot of intersection that can happen, but it'd be useful for us to be able to sometimes identify that cycles might be a whole lot bigger than just a pattern, right? Yeah, and harder to get out of. And so, what are some of those things that kind of contribute to that? And I'm alluding a little bit to like, hey, our families might do that, but can you think of any other things that would say, man, this would create a cycle for you?
Something that would create a cycle. So
Yeah,
you
where are
can,
they? How do they form? Like, where do we even get those?
well, you observe,
hmm
monkey see, monkey do. We
Yeah,
we we observe at a very young age, and we see what's going on, and we just do it. We learn it. It's a habit, and that
yeah,
continues to happen. When a
hmm
child is learning their beliefs, what the world is, their interpretations, making sense of everything, even their identity, they're creating all of it. It's being created for them by what they observe.
right,
And so then they even learn the cycles that their parents are in, that our parents are in, and our parents learn that cycle from their parents and so forth. And
right,
so then we will continue along in, or can
yeah,
continue along in that cycle with our spouse or in our relationship as well.
yeah. Yeah, and I also think that they're tied to emotional interaction as well. So a lot of times, the habits, patterns, and cycles that we start forming come from how we're dealing with our emotions, and that's kind of the tricky thing. And it kind of takes us to a little bit into our next part of this, which is the awareness factor. Is that people aren't doing things just because um, they think this is a good idea or this is a bad idea. A lot of times we are doing something about our emotions, either avoiding them, running towards them, trying to get something to feel. Um, feel what's missing on the inside with something on the outside. And we've been taught that this is what works or how to shortchange that process. And it's not that positive patterns can't be taught to us or that we can't create a cycle of goodness in our lives. It's not that. But the truth is, a lot of times we're accidentally passing things that are filled with hurt. That makes a unique responsibility for us as
Yeah.
parents to not just keep passing pain and passing hurt by filling things up with outside in situations, right? And so awareness of that is actually, to me, the second step, but a huge step for us to make. It's one thing to know how our patterns get formed, the reason that we're in the cycle. That's one thing, but our awareness of what's actually going on is super important.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we just kind of walk around like mummies, like I'm just doing the thing,
Yeah.
right? I'm just doing the thing. I don't even know why I'm a mummy, or I don't know why I'm a zombie. Like I'm just doing the thing, right? Um, if we can kind of know a little bit more about it, our awareness helps us to be able to develop um, something that's useful, and it gives us a different kind of direction, I think, and the ability to focus differently. How do you teach your clients about awareness?
Mm. Awareness in the dark.
Hmm.
Okay. Awareness in the dark. We like to be aware when there's light, but we don't like to shed the light on the darkness all of the time or be in that darkness,
Yeah.
because a lot of we try to avoid the darkness because we believe it's bad, when in actuality it's just light that has not been shed upon yet. Right. um, but continuing to avoid those things is what we continue to do time in and
Yeah.
time out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So shutting down the avoidance factor is a big deal ultimately, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so one simple tool that we can give our audience, and I'm going to come back to this one because I think it's important for us to be able to um, put this in everybody's mind and hearts, because it's a tool that's really available to everybody, and that's journaling. I think we can't emphasize that enough as an opportunity um, for us to be able to process things and get to a different place in our lives. And so, one of the prompts that I feel like would be helpful is us being able to look at a struggle, right? And if you're being able to say, okay, this has been my struggle, now, um, how can I do something different? That's an important prompt to have. It's a useful prompt to have because I can process out what's going on. We said that awareness is a big deal. So if awareness is a big deal, how do we bring it to awareness? Well, journaling is a good opportunity for this. Right?
Right.
Do you have
Right.
any other tools, or can you add on to the journaling one that
Yeah.
you would give to clients?
Yeah, I was about to say it, but then I seen a little glitch and it threw a glitch threw me off. And so,
Oh,
but so what I was saying with like in the darkness is when you're with your eyes closed,
hmm.
where whether you want to call it meditation or mindfulness,
Hmm.
turn everything off. Turn the phones off, turn the TVs off,
Yeah.
be in silence, close your eyes, ground yourself,
Hmm.
do some long deep breaths and center yourself, connect, truly connect within. And that's when the answers shall be revealed for you,
Hmm.
right? Because when we are aware in the dark, how much can we be aware in the light?
Hmm.
Right? We
Right.
can see what, because when we take away everything, all of the distractions, we live in a world filled with distractions.
Hmm.
When we remove all of those distractions and it's no one else there, there's nothing else there, then we realize it's only us there, and it's always been only us.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that when I say that right now, some of you listening go, what the heck does that mean? But those are the things that make sense to you when you raise your level of awareness, and it's that conscious awareness. And you can only really connect when there is no other disruptions there, right? When
Right.
you purposefully, intentionally connect to
Yeah.
raise the awareness, seek the awareness, be the awareness. Right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a huge deal. And I like the ability for people to have a second tool. So journaling is one of them, but us being able to do any kind of thing that affects right brain, any kind of thing that affects the right brain, pictures, drawing, imagination type scenarios help to rewire what's going on. So a lot of times the challenges that we face are not cognitive challenges. They're not challenges that say like, is this a belief or not? Right? It's really not that surface. A lot of times it's pictures and memories, like we're saying, it's experiences that you've had before. So trying to deal with an experience with a thought or a definition change is just going to get you into a space of frustration. But dealing with um, a challenge that you've experienced with imagery, with
Mm,
uh, with um, with idea, with picture, those kinds of things, with journaling, with drawing, with those kinds of things, start giving you the ability to effectively process. So I love that you brought up the ability to shut everything down and do a some kind of imagery inside of your mind, some kind of being able to see something different, imagine or create pictures in your mind somehow, some way, right? And it is a huge deal. And if you guys need to rewind that tape and go back and see how to do that and listen to what Fit just said. All right, huge deal. Man, we're moving along because we got a meeting to get to, Fit. And
Oh, that's right.
in about 16 minutes, hopefully people are getting signed up. In about 16 minutes, we will be jumping in our private session. Fit, I don't know if I told you this ahead of time, but I let everybody in there for free. So we're giving away, we're blessing everybody. I can't say that I'm blessing, God's blessing. Like we're
There
just
it
gonna
is.
deliver. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's happening. By the way, hate to throw a curveball to you, but we're doing that tonight. Free private
I
session.
mean, if that's the case, then get in there, you guys, because this is your chance right there. For those of you who are going like, well, what should I do? Well, I could try. I don't know if that's for. Jump on in. Here's your opportunity. You're already here.
Right.
This is what you want to do. You want to do it? Well, ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Ain't nothing to
Talk
it
about it,
but
be
to
about
do it. Here's a link again in case you guys need it. I popped it in there.
it.
But before we get into that, we always do red flag or real talk, and I have a few red flag and or real talk questions.
Actually,
talk to me.
if we can, I think I see actually a red flag real talk question here. Well, let me just read it and see what it is. My husband says he didn't make decisions about what he did. He just did things. So hard to believe in.
Mm, mm. So you got a question for me?
Yep, there it is right there. So my husband
Okay.
says he didn't make decisions about what he did. He just did things. So hard to believe him.
Okay.
A red flag or what is that?
So I'm going to answer a question in there that's not even asked. And I mean, I think it takes some real conversation, especially if it's a husband. If I'm being sincere about red flags and real talk, I feel like when you're in a marriage, you have less real red flags to really be able to throw out. I mean, there are certain things, and I wouldn't mention those things because it's probably case by case, but there are certain things where you could say red flag, it's over. But for the most part, when you're married, it really is about working on yourself to get to a higher spot. Okay. So in this case here, the wife is saying the wife is repeating what it sounds like to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. The wife is repeating what the husband excuse is about his behaviors.
Yeah, he was just saying that he just did it without thinking about it.
Right. And then the wife is feeling like she's missing information.
Yeah, like that's just not like, well, that doesn't make sense. How could you just do something without thinking about it? Right.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just did it.
Yeah. And so I think that people can do that and it doesn't make sense. And the reason why it doesn't make sense is because it makes emotions. So a lot of times people are not operating on like 1 + 1 = 2 or 2 + 2 = 4. They're not operating like that. A lot of times people are getting a feeling and then doing the thing. So then you say, hey, did that make sense to do? No, it didn't make sense to do. As an example, and people might not like I sidetrack like this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. So I might tell my son, go inside the cabinet and find go in there and find the lettuce and the stuff to make a salad, right? And he goes in there and look. He doesn't want a salad, but he goes in there and looks and says, Dad, I didn't see all the stuff to make the salad. Well, of course you didn't, because you can care less about finding a salad stuff, right? But let's flip the conversation. If I say, son, go in there and find that chocolate bar that we had that we're about to eat the other day. Oh, here's a chocolate bar, Dad, right? Why is that? It's not. Does it make sense that he can't find the salad stuff? It's only a refrigerator, right? Like it can't go too far. Does it make sense that he can't fight? No, it doesn't make sense necessarily, but emotionally, there's something else going on with him that really makes him focus in on certain things. And we're
Yeah.
all like that. We're all like that. So, especially in marriages, we try to deal on does it make sense and try to make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. It makes emotions. And so the more that we battle the right thing, then we start to understand. So would the husband know which emotions were going on or what was the emotional interaction that was happening for that? Not necessarily, because it's awareness. We were talking about this earlier. It's awareness that would help that. And sometimes it's easier not to be aware of what we're feeling than it is to know what we're feeling. Right. So really what's happening, and this is why I'm answering a different question that's being asked, because we accidentally get on the wrong page about what has to happen. And by the way, as we feel more pressure as people, not just as men, as people, when we feel more pressure, then our anxieties rise, our defenses start to go up. That's our forearms start to go up. Instead of the wrapping around to give hugs, now we start doing this and this. Well, what do you mean that doesn't make sense? That doesn't make sense. Why you're too dumb to know? And no, I'm not too dumb. There you go again. Like, and we're in this battle back and forth, and now we're not where we need to be to even get the answer and do the discovery that's needed. Right. So what's the flip of this conversation? The flip of this conversation is know that people cannot, it is possible that they're not aware of what it is that's going on with them. That's very possible. The person who has security starts growing more awareness and a connection between their awareness and their ability to speak about it. But in order to get to that, that person needs to be and experience security and love in their relationship. If not, they stay with a forearm up and they never get to be able to talk. So what is the best opportunity to do in these scenarios is slow down and back away. Slow down and back away. We don't need to have that situation today. It's coming. But meanwhile, I have to do the work on my part to work my nerves into a place where I can allow somebody to do things that are hurtful to me or that don't make sense to me and still do my own growth about being better in the relationship. And the more that that happens, we start creating a place that can have conversations. We start becoming a person who can interact and a person who people want to interact with. And that gets super effective and infectious. Right? Like as you're starting to be that person, it's admirable and somebody's like, "Oh, let me start doing that too." I'm not being judged and I get to put my guard down and I get to have a conversation, right? About this hard thing and it's not going to come back to me. Right? It's a beautiful opportunity for us to be able to know that we're in a spot where somebody's not saying it all. So instead of us saying that that's the problem, that's a surface level thing. The idea that somebody won't say something is a problem is a surface level issue. The real problem is we don't have security in our relationship to create a situation that encourages that kind of conversation. That's the real issue. So can we build that? That's our mission now. Right? That's our mission is can I build this in my relationship? And most people will walk away from that. Because what they're going to look for is somebody who's already ready to do it. And it doesn't exist. We have to, as partners, we have to exist together for a while for us to really build on that. Right? And until we do that, then we're going to go out of this relationship thinking it was the person who we were married with. We're going to go out of this one and go try to find a new one who's doing it at first, but can't do it for a long time. And we realize that now that's another problem. And then we go on to the third marriage and we try to do it again, right? Do you know the rates of divorce go like this? It's 50% for the first one. The second one is 75%. And the third one is 80%. It doesn't get better. It doesn't get better, right? So the only thing that's going to change is we have to change our perspective about how people should interact in a relationship. And we have to change our perspective about whether we can make a relationship work or not. And I think ultimately that's a commitment thing from each one of us. Okay. So us being into what somebody else is doing wrong isn't going to be as effective with us, or trying to figure them out. It's not effective. Us creating a place where people can share with us what's going on, highly effective. Us being in a place or becoming the person that could receive hard information and then also still love in those circumstances, super effective, super effective. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our challenge there. I know I kind of changed that question, but I answer a little bit different because I think I would do a disservice if I just gave an answer to how to deal with that specific situation, right? Because that's a surface level thing by accident. I know they didn't mean it that way, but that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Any
And
questions
it's
about that, or follow-ups that I might have missed? Or sometimes I get kind of confusing when I talk, but if you have
well,
questions
that was
about
on point, man. I don't want to add to it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
go fix it.
Okay.
Don't fix it.
But see, you could have answered it, but you went in depth
Mhm,
and you were able to right now while we were on this live, but we're going to go more in depth
mhm.
right now. Is that correct?
Yeah,
We're getting ready
yeah.
for that.
We got about
Mhm.
4 more minutes, and then we're gonna make sure that that everybody gets into that, gets an opportunity at least to get into that private session, and they can have more. And it is more conversation just like that. If you guys have specific questions, conversations, you can bring them in there and ask the questions. Um, there will be there should be a chat ability in there, and that gives you guys that chance to be able to do that. Okay. Um, so yeah, usually whenever we leave at the end of the week, we have a weekly reset. And for us today, we're saying, hey, just attend that session and that will give you guys your weekly reset. That's one thing. The other thing is we'll move our podcast time to Friday mornings, late mornings, for our audience. So we're actually going to start that this Friday. So you guys get a 2-for-1 this week.
Uh,
Um,
Lord.
yeah, so you guys are getting us Friday morning. So we'll make sure we move that and get you guys fed emotionally, spiritually, mentally, right? As much as possible. And just so you guys know, I mean, we went through in this last month, we went through a theme of breaking patterns. And if anybody's able to go back and look, and you guys all could look because it's all in our podcast listing, is that you'll see like it's been that for this month, and we leaked it up, and then we're going to hit a home run in our private session together. And so we're going to do the same thing next month with us being able to release a resentment. We're going to do that and work through that with you guys as well. We're here to be able to just have your back on growing your relationships and trying to get to a better spot. Okay. Fit, what's on your mind before we jump into our? They got a couple of minutes, but what's on your mind before we jump into our session there?
Whatever is in front of me,
Hmm.
whatever I'm discussing right now, that's what's on my mind because I'm focused on staying present to the moment. And I
Yeah,
think that oftentimes gets so overlooked is we're
yeah.
thinking about the future, we're thinking about the past, never really in our present moment.
Hmm.
And we wonder why time flies.
Right, right. Yep. It's so important to be what's right here, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Presence.
love, I love that. Okay, you guys, we're gonna jump over. We'll close out our podcast here for the week, and then we'll jump over one more time. I'm gonna put that link in there while we jump over, so that you guys could have that, and then we'll be in the other room. We're already actually in there, all fired up and ready to go. All right, you guys have a good night. We'll see you in a minute for those who are coming over, and everybody else. We'll see you up Friday morning to be able to kick off another month of the session.